Windrider believes that enjoying the great outdoors shouldn't break the bank. That's why their best-selling lightweight shirts are also budget-friendly. Right now, buy 2 Helios long-sleeve sun shirts and get 25% off. UPF 50-plus sun protection, full-length mesh for breathability, 10 colors to choose from, sizes up to 4XL, all backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. Shop online at windrider.com/outdoors. Buy 2 Helios long-sleeve sun shirts and get 25% off right now at windrider.com/outdoors.
Live from multiple locations via the miracle of Skype, it's the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing. Featuring dangerous Dan Margetta and Brian Schmidt. LTN is a caller-driven program, and your participation is encouraged by calling 414-421-7901. That's 414-421-7901. Now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
And welcome to the program. Glad you could join us. Coming to you live from a hotel room in Anderson, Indiana. This is Todd Bailing, joined by my two partners, Dan Margetta of St. Francis, USA. How you doing, man?
Hey, doing good. It's a little different. Usually it's Brian and I on the road. This time you're on the road and we're back home.
Imagine that. And Brian Schmidt of Bootsburg, Wisconsin.
Morning. Yes. How is Indiana?
Hot and humid. Of course, you know, that's no surprise. I know it's midsummer, but what you get in midsummer is high temperatures, high humidity, and always, when it's like that, a chance of thunderstorms. And as humid as it is here, it's really bad in New Hampshire, so bad that it's pouring. That's what they call 100% humidity. And the race has already been postponed until tomorrow at 11 Central Time. So stand by for any other plans. We'll keep you up on them as they're made. But the race is going to be rained out today. It was supposed to be was supposed to start at about 10 minutes to 2 Wisconsin time, and it was going to be on USA. Now, guys, did I hear you say that the IndyCar race was supposed to be on something else?
Peacock.
Peacock. It was going to be IndyCar's streamed.
Yeah,
because it doesn't seem right about that, does it?
No, they do that a couple times a year. I know they did it, I believe, like Labor Day weekend. They do the same thing. They stream the Portland race. At least they did last year. So I don't know. I wonder if they're going to put it on now. It starts about the same time the Cup coverage was supposed to start, but I don't know if they. I don't know if they can easily do that or not.
Yeah, USA. What else would be on there that they couldn't do that? You know,
right?
So,
let's hope they do.
Yeah, it would be nice. When they get going tomorrow at 11 o'clock, Christopher Bell will be starting from the pole. A couple of Toyotas up front, and I guess that was no real big surprise. The guys were all talking to Toyotas, pointing at him. So it supposedly is a Toyota. Again, listen, qualifying and a 300-lap race are two completely different things. And by the way, anytime you have a flat 1-mile track, and you know we know a couple of them. Well, there's Milwaukee, there's Phoenix, there's New Hampshire. You're always in danger of having a snorer. And you have to have a couple of well-placed cautions to keep the thing in perfect racing business, and that's what they're going to need at New Hampshire with a 300-lapper on that 1-mile track. So that's once again, it's going to be tomorrow. We got just some absolutely devastating news this week, and for any of you who were friends of Shannon Lampman, she. This is the oldest daughter of Dennis and Debbie Lampman, who died within the last, 2 years already. Their daughter, 50-year-old Shannon, who had been married to John Trado, Jim's brother that works for Hendrick Motorsports. I guess they've been divorced for some time, which I didn't realize till yesterday when I talked to Tim. But Shannon passed away at the age of 50 this week. Did I see that right, Dan? She had a stroke?
Yeah, sounds like she had like a minor stroke and then had a major one right after that, and didn't make it. Now, people around here might recognize her son raced legend cars around here, didn't he?
Yeah, Jake and Nate are the two sons that race those not so much midgets, legends. Did you say legends?
Yeah, legend cars.
Yeah, legends cars, and just both outstanding young men. And Jake, I think it was Jake that won at Slinger right after Grandpa died. And I tell you, sometimes it's hard for announcers when stuff like that happens. When he won that feature, I was just like, wouldn't this have been a great day for Dennis? But his daughter now, Shannon Lampman, passes away. It's crazy. It's one of those things, folks, you just don't know from one day to the next what could happen. And I think this just came out of nowhere, and at 50 years old, as you might imagine. But it's a sad day, no doubt. If you'd like to participate in today's program, you can do so at 414-421-7901. We'd love to hear from you about anything having to do with the world of racing, particularly NASCAR. Last week, it was a rain-shortened event at Atlanta. My God, we go from rain-shortened at Chicago and dark-shortened, and then we go to rain-shortened Atlanta, where William Byron won his 4th race of the year on Sunday. How about that? And then immediately set out for Slinger Speedway, where he raced with us this week. And now this week, we're rained out till tomorrow at New Hampshire. Just that time of year, I guess,
We kind of wish the Cup Series would come up here to Road America again, because we're in such a drought up here. We could really use the rain, but we don't have them this year, and now everything's dry.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Last time they had 3 in a row that have been delayed.
It's affected by rain. I know. It's
crazy.
I know it is. It's one of those things. Not only Christopher Bell starting from the pole, but Toyota's top 2 spots. It's a 20 and the 19 with Truex, and then a couple of Fords, like 3 of them. And then the first Toyota, can you imagine? The 45 car, which is, not a surprise. He's been good, and he will start in the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th spot. So, just because why am I telling you about a Toyota? The next spot was the 24 car, and that's the one the top Chevrolet was 7th. Believe it or not. So that was William Byron. So just because they don't qualify good, that doesn't mean a heck of a lot. A lot of it has to do with the conditions of the track, too. And I know, Brian, did you see some racing from New Hampshire? I didn't see any so far.
I listened to a bunch of it, and I listened to qualifying, and I saw Kyle Busch had a heck of a time out there. He hit the wall a little bit during practice, and then made it to the final 10 there, and then wrecked in the final round of qualifying there. So that track, it's a knife edge right now there, and now they're going to wash all the rubber off of it, so it's even going to probably be more difficult tomorrow with a green racetrack.
Oh, geez. And more than likely it'll still be humid out there too, so you've got that to deal with also. I'm on the road, as I mentioned. I was here for the ASA reunion here at Anderson, Indiana. They had a real nice get-together last night. Mark and Kay Gundrum of Germantown, Wisconsin, the old PR director for the ASA series back in the day, has kind of assumed the duties for the new ASA series and just put together a wonderful event there. They both worked their behinds off to put it together, and it was great. And then we had a race, which unfortunately was threatened by weather. It was there were heavy thunderstorms in the forecast here, which always affects the gate. And I don't know. I look to this untrained eye, I would say 2,000, maybe 2,500 people, but there were only 18 cars showed up. Brian, what the hell is going on? This is supposed to be the major league of short track racing with this new ASA series.
I'm really not sure, and it's a head scratcher to a lot of people out there wondering what the situation is and what's with the teams not coming out and getting to these bigger events. And I don't know. I mean, I know Indiana is not a hotbed for asphalt racing. There's not a whole lot of asphalt super late model races in that general area there, but to not see the car count there for this major event is kind of a head scratcher. And I sure hope it turns around, because I really like the idea of what the Stars Tour is and what it can be in the future, but teams got to support it during its first, what they call fledgling years, so that you can get it off the ground.
Next is August 1st, I think it is, up at Kaukauna, but it just blows me away that the car count wasn't very good here yesterday, but at least, Bubba showed up for this one. He didn't show up at Slinger on Tuesday. By the way, speaking of which, Cole Butcher was the winner in a Canadian wins the American Speed Association race. Did a spectacular job. Ty Majeski was the man. A little bit like the Nationals this last week when Luke Fenhouse was the man. And the last caution with a little over 100 laps to go. I'm not exactly positive about how they used the tires. The first stage, Butcher didn't take tires and stayed out, and therefore was not as good as the other cars around him on a restart and fell back a little bit. But now he's got 4 tires he can put on late in the race, and I think that's exactly what happened. So Butcher did a great job, no doubt. We're going to be back, and we'll talk about all kinds of things going on. Hang in there.
The summer heat is on, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
It's the social event of the summer as the WeatherTech International Challenge with Brian Redmond returns to Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, July 13th through the 16th. It's the largest vintage racing event in America, featuring over 400 vintage and historic race cars. This event will highlight the Kastner Cup, featuring Triumph sports cars, and the popular Concours d'Elegance on Friday and Saturday along the streets of Elkhart Lake. Kids 16 and under get in free with paid adult. Camping and family fun at Road America all weekend. Visit roadamerica.com today.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship-winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at wagnerautomotive.com.
This is The Herd.
Attention listeners.
With Colin Cowherd.
The Celtics are up to something. I would guess Giannis next year. So basically, GM Brad Stevens said, we're not special. I got news for you. Tatum as a 1, the Celtics are never going to be special. Tatum is a 2, Giannis is a 1, that's special.
This is The Herd.
Weekdays 3 to 6 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
I'm glad you joined us for this wonderful Sunday morning. The NASCAR Hall of Fame announced its candidates. I'm not sure how. Some of them are slam dunks, and some of them are, you got to wonder, did they run out of drivers that really belong in the Hall of Fame? I just don't get what the deal is. Listen to the names that were listed. Now, these are the drivers. Ricky Rudd, who had 23 wins and no championships. Neil Bonnet, 18 wins and no championships. Jeff Burton, 21 wins, no championships. Carl Edwards, 28 wins and no championships. And Harry Gant, 18 wins and no championships. All right. Now, slam dunk, Jimmy Johnson. Okay, this is his first year of eligibility. Even though I don't understand, you have to be done for 7 years, and he raced this year. But all right, so Jimmy Johnson, he belongs on there. And the other driver is Larry Phillips, who is a 5-time champion of the weekly NASCAR series. And really, based on the past and what their criteria is for the NASCAR Hall of Fame, does belong in there. Also, Donnie Allison, 10 wins, no championships. Sam Ard, 2 Xfinity championships, which were Grand National back when he was racing. A.J. Foyt, 7 wins. Okay, those are your drivers. after the one or two, maybe Johnson and Larry Phillips. I can't say how many more belong in there, but then we've got Ralph Moody. He was a 2-time championship car owner. Banjo Matthews, a 3-time championship car builder. We've got Tim Brewer, a 2-time championship crew chief. Harry Hyde, the legendary Harry Hyde, 1 championship. And, of course, Chad Knaus and his 7 championships. After Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus, your guess is as good as mine who's going to end up in it. I would think Larry Phillips, Sam Ard, and Banjo Matthews, myself. I don't know how much.
WGU knows what it's like to juggle school and a busy work schedule. I take courses on my own time, set my own deadlines, and test when I'm ready. I choose WGU. Visit wgu.edu/University of U.
Catch a marquee matchup when Devin Williams and the Brewers battle Matt Olson and the Braves. Friday, July 21st through Sunday, July 23rd. It's a matchup between aces and all-stars. Plus, the first 30,000 fans through the gates on Saturday, July 22nd, will take home a Brewers City Connect beach towel giveaway, courtesy of Haichu. Grab your seats at brewers.com/promotions.
How much of a stretch for non-champions you want to put in? You know, it's there's guys that have done pretty well for themselves, obviously, but do they belong in the Hall of Fame? I guess that's one of those wonderful things that makes for a debate, and that's one of the things that they look forward to. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Am I on? Did I hit it right?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you too. It's hard with the non-championship thing. It's just because all those guys are good. You know, when growing up and following the sport, they all were great, but that Hall of Fame thing, if you let everybody in, then it kind of diminishes the Hall of Fame. So you have to have some kind of a criteria to get in. And, you know, I like Ricky Rudd. I think Ricky Rudd is great. He didn't win any championships, but boy, you know, what he all did was awesome. But does he belong in the Hall of Fame or not? There's always that question. I think, like you said, Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus are probably slam dunk. The 7 championships is a great accomplishment. Yeah. And you know, even like Banjo Matthews and guys like that, and Sam Ard. I mean, Sam Ard was the Xfinity Series now. Before it was the Busch Series. It was like what they call it, the late model, almost like a late model stock thing or something they called it. But he dominated that. So I can see those guys, and I agree. It's going to be kind of a tough sell and for the rest of them how to get in, and it could go either way. I really wouldn't have any idea if you asked me to predict them.
Yeah, well,
that's the thing about Hall of Fames are always, you know, subjective, you know, instead of objective. There's not a simple set of rules to get in there. It's just kind of more of a feeling type thing, I guess you could call it. And, you know, it's hard to say. I mean, you know, Mark Martin is an example of a guy who never won a championship either, you know, but his wins speak for themselves. So I don't know if you can just simply go on championships, but I think a lot of it has to do with, you know, name power too, you know. Name power is a big thing. A guy that's been in the series for a long, long time and everybody knows who it is. Those are the people I think you put in there. You know, and Neil Bonnet did TV for quite a while too. So not only did he do a lot of stuff, you know, on the track, but you know, before his unfortunate passing, I mean, he was a face of TNN when I grew up watching NASCAR racing. He was great at it, you know. So I almost kind of look at him more so for that than I did for his racing stuff.
And Carl Edwards was arguably one of the most popular drivers NASCAR's ever had with doing his backflips and whatnot. And 28 wins, you know, I suppose that's Hall of Fame worthy. But and
I think he has a couple of Xfinity championships, right? At least one for sure, I know. Did he win a truck title too?
Dan, I don't know if you remember.
I think he won. Did he win a truck title and an Xfinity title, Dan?
But I don't know if he won the trucks or not. I think he got an Xfinity. I have to look at this up. It's got to check that out. I know Biffle did. Biffle had a truck title.
Yep.
But I'm not sure if he did or not. I have to look that up. I can't off the top of my head figure it out.
All right. Well, that's either way. It creates discussion, and much of that is what they want when a list like this comes out. And thing is, we're already stretching. In the beginnings of Halls of Fame, it is easy to put people in there because you say, well, they belong. And then after a while, the list gets narrower and narrower. And really, you know, I think it's important to have less people go in every year after a while. Maybe
one championship for Carl Edwards in 2007 in the Xfinity Series. He did not win a truck title. Came close, but did not.
All right. Well, good. Is that enough to get you in the Hall of Fame? Probably so. And, you know, we'll watch it, and it's fun to talk about. Last week at Atlanta, as we mentioned, William Byron won his 4th race this year. You knew the rain was coming, and everybody in the place saw it on the radar. So I think it seems to me that the strategy was changed while and during the race last week because they knew it was never going to get finished with the rain, the huge storm that was coming, right?
Yeah.
And you watched it, Brian. I didn't get a chance to see it because I was at Slinger and for the races there, but I heard it was the racing in the event was pretty outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, for all the question marks we had when they did that to Atlanta Motor Speedway, thinking, we're just going to have more of this restrictor plate stuff, it was breathtaking racing without the wrecking. And I think that was the best part about it. You didn't have these massive wrecks last week, but yet you had 3-wide racing, 2-wide racing, nonstop. I mean, it's unfortunate. Probably the worst part of it all was right at the end there when they couldn't get by Byron when we knew the rain was coming. But before that, I mean, it was just constant passing back and forth. I mean, they've really done a heck of a job with it. I was one of those that was very skeptical of what Atlanta would be like when it was done with it. But boy, it's done its job, and it is a heck of a racetrack right now.
Oh my God, yes. I do love the racing there. It's a little bit like a non-plate track, Much of the strategy is the same. We are glad you tuned in, and we're going to come back with a couple other things right after this.
Inflation compensation is back.
Oh, yes.
Demand your supply of $1,000.
$1,000? Oh!
Just listen for the keywords to text in to win $1,000. Happening now
on thebig920.com.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
This week on NASCAR Live, Justin Allgaier joined the show.
It just seems like this race always comes down to, a little bit of chaos at somewhere in the middle of the race. There's usually going to probably be some cautions, and you can always guarantee that there's going to be some cautions at the end, and there's probably going to be a stack up off a turn 2 on a green white checker. Why that is, I don't know, but it just seems like that's always the case.
There's much more waiting for you each week on NASCAR Live.
Every Tuesday night at 6 on Milwaukee's Home for NASCAR, the Big 920, and your iHeartRadio app.
Like Brian and I were talking, we like that at the new Atlanta racetrack. Remember when it was when the pavement was wearing out and they went through tires and it was a rough surface and Tony Stewart, remember him complaining about Goodyear, what the tire that they brought was so bad, and yet the racing, they were sliding around after 20 laps, and the racing was really fun. Then they repaved the place, and it is completely a different mentality, completely, when you're trying to set up for the race. And I think it's been a very positive thing for the sport. Brian apparently agrees with me, but I would like to find out what our listeners think of it. Brian, did you say they're talking about doing the same thing at Texas?
No, I mean that's just what a lot of people are talking about right now because. Let's face it, the racing at Texas has been very subpar for several years now since they redid Texas not that long ago, in fact. And a lot of the talk all week has been because of the good racing at Atlanta, maybe they should do that to Texas too. But a lot of the drivers are saying, whoa. I mean, how many how many of these, pack type racing tracks do you want? You already have the 4 super speedway races, 2 at Daytona, 2 at Talladega. You now have 2 at Atlanta. Do you want to add, another one at Texas yet? And, then you're up to 7, 7 of those races a year. I'm not sure if that's such a good idea, but I mean, you can't fault the fact that the racing is outstanding here. The expense involved with doing that at Texas would be very, very large. But, what are you going to do at that place? It does not produce really good racing right now. If you were to do that to Texas, another issue would be you'd be taking IndyCar out of the equation, because IndyCar races there now. They would not be able to race on a track like that. I mean, that would be crazy fast.
Yes.
So I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. This particular car has been racing really good at a lot of these 1.5 miles across the country now. I mean, we're seeing some of the best racing we've seen, at Charlotte. I mean, Charlotte was terrible, and now the last couple of years it's been really good with the new car. We never really got a shot to see what this car would have done on the old Atlanta. The old Atlanta racing was actually pretty good too. So, I mean, the only one that hasn't been able to get it figured out last year was Texas. So maybe this year it'll be better there. But I know that's been a lot of the talk all week is, should they do more of this to these 1.5 miles? I don't know that you want to have that much pack racing. I mean, the drivers don't like it. Let's face it. They don't like the fact that they can't control their own destiny on those races. It's all luck of the draw type stuff.
Yeah, there's positives and negatives. Too bad you can't have suddenly a surface like the old Atlanta and put that at a place like Texas. Would that be a hell of a show?
There is a track out there right now that probably is very close to that, and it's not far from it. It's over at Chicago. That thing is really, really aged and weathered, and they're not racing on there right now. But boy, it would be interesting to see these new cars on that Chicago surface, because I think it'd be a heck of a show. It was right at the end before they closed it.
This is all talk. We're talking about possibilities of things. Get this. There's a rumor out there. In fact, I think it's more than a rumor, because teams are saying to people, they're whispering that NASCAR has told them they're going to all need to have their passports ready for next season. What does that mean? That doesn't mean we're racing in Jamaica. That means we're talking about going to Canada. And they do have a couple of places up there that are viable. But, are they talking Xfinity Series? You think the Cup Series would go and have a race in Canada? Gentlemen?
The only facility that I can think of that would be suitable for it, Dan, would probably be Montreal, right? I mean, I certainly don't see it up at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, the one north of Toronto. That facility isn't quite set up for that, but Montreal would be my only thought.
What about Mosport?
Yeah, that's the one. That's what I'm thinking of, Mosport.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they can't even run Indy cars there. It's really not set up for it. But Montreal would be the only track I could think of, and the Xfinity Series ran there several years ago. There's a limit on how much racing you can have on there, because that's really not a full-blown racetrack. That's kind of like a hybrid street circuit / park / old Summer Olympics facility. And there's limits on how much racing they can have there. And with Formula One running there right now, they'd have to get some sort of agreement to have another weekend there. So, but I know they're pushing it and they want to go there. I don't know. The racing there never was that overly exciting to me when I remember watching Xfinity racing there. But it's all about the market, not necessarily the track.
You could put a street course anyway, Brian, and anywhere you want, as we saw in Chicago. So, Montreal, I guess. It seems to me going to a French-speaking country, has its negatives attached to it. I mean, I'd rather see him go. If you're going to go anywhere and do maybe a street race, maybe Toronto would be a better choice, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, well, watch the IndyCar race today at Toronto and think to yourself, do you think that's a good place for stock cars to race on? I don't know. They run the Canadian version of it. I think it's the Pinty Series they call it. Runs on that surface up there at Toronto, and I have not watched any of those races to really see how it is. But I don't know. I hate the fact that all of a sudden now, because we had one good race at Chicago, now we want to have all kinds of street races.
Yep.
Can't we just have? Let's do this again next year, hopefully with good weather. Maybe we can do it again in Chicago. Let's see how a normal weekend goes, and let's go from there. And maybe a guy not named Shane Van Gisbergen is in the race, and maybe that'll also change it. I mean, he's the show. He's the one that put on the show. Would we have had the race we had without him in there? I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it wouldn't have been as good, that's for sure. Dan, you sounded like you were going to say something there.
Like Brian was saying, I think it's best to just take it back a little bit and let's run Chicago next year and see if it works before we go crazy on the street races. They had a Pinty's race there yesterday. I think it was Alex Tagliani was the winner of it. And it was a pretty decent race. So it can be done. on Toronto. I don't know how the Cup cars will be on there. I think Montreal is probably the best place to look if they're going to go to Canada next year. I think they want to go there because there's a big Canadian audience that watches, and they haven't hit that yet. But I think Montreal would probably be where they would be if they do this.
Aren't there a couple really good ovals up in Toronto? Wasn't there a big super late model race a few years ago on a really nice oval track up in Canada? Can't think of the name of it. It had a strange name, and it was a big paying super late model race, and they said it was a beautiful facility.
It was like Jakarta or something like that.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I would be more towards that. It'd be awesome to go up there and run a short track.
I don't think it's there anymore, though.
Oh.
Silly me. I thought Jakarta was somewhere else. Hey, Brian, you brought up Shane Van Gisbergen, or as they call him, SVG, which is apparently what we're instead of trying to say his name every time, it's much easier to say those initials, which makes sense. There's a pretty good rumor because of how absolutely spectacular he looked at Chicago that they're talking about a full-time ride for somebody. Now, I think that's not the greatest idea because even though he's a hell of a driver and we saw it, it was right and left. He's never done oval tracks, I don't believe, has he?
He does a lot of dirt stuff. I mean, he does sprint cars, he does midgets. There's a lot of comparisons between him and Kyle Larson out there, so I think that's the big push. You got to strike when the iron's hot. So if someone would be willing to give him a ride, all for it. Will it succeed? I don't know.
In Australia and New Zealand, don't they go the other way?
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure they do. Oh, well. We'll be back.
Buckle up, get ready, get set, and get your tickets now as the NASCAR Xfinity Series returns to Wisconsin's Road America in Elkhart Lake, July 27th through the 29th. The smell of fresh rubber and food will fill the air for this weekend, along with the Porsche Carrera Cup for even more racing fun. An amazing, affordable weekend of family fun with camping, food, and more. Kids 16 and under get in free with paid adult. Come for the experience, stay for the race. Get your tickets today at roadamerica.com. Your national park of speed.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
This Saturday night, be at the Fair Park in Plymouth when the Super 6 Late Model Series continues. Many of the best late model drivers in the upper Midwest will battle for an increased purse. Also racing will be the Wing Sprint cars, B-Mods, and Grand Nationals. Next Friday night, the second annual Road America Challenge, featuring the IRA Sprint cars and the Plymouth Dirt Track Racing MSA Sprints. Packing will begin at 6 o'clock, pits open at 2, and gates to the public at 4:30. That's this Friday night at the Fair Park in Plymouth. We'll see you there.
It seemed like an innocent enough statement at the time.
I feel like we can run the table.
But then the Packers caught fire.
End zone diving grab. Geronimo Allison. Touchdown Green Bay Packers.
Running the table meant winning out and winning the division.
Game, set, match. The Packers are NFC North Division champions.
Table ran. Sunday at noon on your home for Packers football, 97.3 The Game.
Incredible.
Pretty darn exciting having the Packers on our little group here. It's wonderful. Hey, it was no surprise to anyone because it had been rumored for some time, but Busch Beer has announced that they're going to be the new sponsors on Ross Chastain's #1 car next year. Of course, now keep in mind that Budweiser, Bud Light, Busch, they're all kind of paying the price for a failed marketing ploy earlier this summer, and they're down like 8%. It's absolutely amazing. I don't think they're doing anything wrong by going on Ross Chastain. I mean, let's have a beer and go hoo-ha. Let's see what he's going to do this week. They thought perhaps Chastain was going to be the guy who was going to leave the 1 car and go over and race the 4 car. But that is not exactly what happened. In the meantime, Josh Berry's going to drive the 4 car now without Busch sponsorship, and it's going to be Chastain and Busch. It seems like Watermelon and Busch Light. kind of an odd combination there, isn't it?
It could be the new things at racetracks. We'll see. I think Chastain will be pretty good with that sponsorship. The big question now is, what does Advent Health do? They're on the one car, and they're going to go look for another team to be on. So teams that are looking for sponsorship, like a whole bunch at Stewart-Haas, maybe are going to start shopping around for them, because we'll see where they're going to go if they want to stay in the sport.
I think it's important to ask, what is wrong with Stewart-Haas Racing? I mean, they just are not competitive anymore. Come on. There's got to be an easy answer here, right?
Well, the Fords as a whole haven't been good this year. Penske hasn't been setting the world on fire. You had a Ryan Blaney win and a Joey Logano win earlier this year, but that's about it for them. RFK has been running a little better, but they're not winning consistently. So I think a lot of it has to do with Ford's just not running real good. But Stewart, I would say, has kind of fallen to maybe third in the Ford order right now, because week after week, the RFK cars have been running a little bit better than them even. So I don't know. I think it's going to take a little bit of time, but they just have to, and they've had a lot of bad luck. There's had cars that have been running good, and they have issues. They get in bad wrecks. It just has been one of those years, and you see that happen from time to time.
Hey, story come out this week, and it's interesting and it makes some sense. About a year ago, Kyle Busch, in a casual conversation with NASCAR's Jim France, said, well, it's been nice knowing you. It doesn't look like I can find anything for next year. And the way the story is being circulated right now, that Jim France worked behind the scenes to help the getting together with the RCR. Childress was, losing a driver and looking for a guy. And was it going to be a good place for Kyle Busch to end up? We've heard that, it's his teammate that came through and said, we really need to bring Kyle Busch over here. I never even thought about it, but there are ways that Jim France can help more than any suggestion from another driver, right, guys?
Well, yeah, sometimes NASCAR will help step in as far as steering sponsorship places too. Sometimes companies will come to NASCAR and say, hey, we want to be a part of this deal, and they may, point them to the direction of a team that could use it. So that's happened in the past, where they've helped some guys out. Whether they did in this case or not, I don't know. I know Childress had a lot of sponsors coming on as soon as Kyle Busch went on there. Did they steer any that way? It could be, but that's how they'll do a lot of behind-the-scenes help with that. If a new company comes in and says, I want to be a part of the sport, I really want to be a part of this. If there's a team that they want to hang around and needs a sponsor, they may steer them that way and say, hey, go talk to these guys. Just kind of push it along that way.
Now, it makes you wonder, they could have steered sponsorship to the 18 car, couldn't they? I mean, was this Ty Gibbs thing, was it a slam dunk and he was coming either way? They tried to say he was going to get another year in Xfinity, but really, if NASCAR could steer sponsorship, wouldn't you think that they could have steered it towards the 18 car and kept Kyle Busch over there?
Well, it's still got to come down to the team, what you're willing to take. If they weren't willing to take a lower price for Kyle Busch, then, where Kyle was at Gibbs, you got to remember he was making a ton of money. And, I don't think it hit him that he had to take a pay cut until it was always too late and he's already out of that card. And it was like, hey, if I want to stay here, I guess I'm going to have to make less money.
Yeah, it's still not a bad way of making a living, but just because you're not making exactly as much as you were before, it's just it's what the market can bear. Let's face facts, some drivers just don't make 10 to 20 million a year this year. They're going to have to, see if they can scratch by with only 5,
There's another thing I saw on when you go online, you can find all kinds of things. Sometimes they go down a rabbit hole, but other times you can find some interesting things. And there was something online. A guy had posted that they're seeing that a white strip now on these cars, and they go through tech on the base of the rear spoiler. And he's wondering if that isn't something with that OSS scanner. If that before, when the black, flat black wouldn't make the scanner.
Yeah.
And reading the comments he put up there was pretty interesting. Apparently that scanner's got like 8 projectors and a whole bunch of cameras in there, and it sets data points on the car, like anywhere from 50,000 to 200,000 data points that it picks up. So and each data point has a color code. So if you can find the color code in that, it may not pick up as much data points. So that's how you can get things through. It's kind of interesting when you see that. And I wonder if that's something that we're going to see now with maybe a white strip on the spoiler. It was interesting to see, and I wouldn't have paid attention to it as much if not for that flat black issue a couple years ago when Ron Malik told us, yeah, flat black won't pick up on the scanner. You know, that 78 car was all flat black in 2017.
Speaking of that 78, isn't that where the late, great Jimmy Wildman Watson had you guys going pretty good?
Oh, yeah. That's when, Brian with the sticker on the car at Chicago. Putting silicone on it at Vegas that time too to figure out. But I think it all has something to do with that. I mean, these guys are always thinking, and it's interesting when you see that kind of stuff. I wish they put more of that out there because it's kind of interesting things. Of course, obviously, people don't want it to get out because no one wants to know that. But I think it's an interesting aspect to see, and we'll see if I'm going to be at a cup race now till Vegas in October. But it'd be kind of cool to look and see if there are white strips at the base of the spoiler.
You know, anything they can do to, I won't say cheat because it's not specifically covered in rules, I'm sure, but NASCAR is just finding better ways of catching guys doing things that weren't specifically covered. And, NASCAR really hates gray areas. They work their behinds off to get the gray areas figured out. And so that we don't work in gray areas. It's supposed to be cut and dry.
I saw it on Twitter. The guy's name is Brian Murphy. He used to work for teams. I don't think he does anymore. But that was the guy I started following because he put some of these technical things up there, and it's kind of interesting.
All right. We're going to sneak away. When we come back, not only do we have some results, we have some pretty damn big races we can talk about that just happened. And the world of short track racing seems to be pretty healthy. We'll be right back.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
Buckle up, get ready, get set, and get your tickets now as the NASCAR Xfinity Series returns to Wisconsin's Road America in Elkhart Lake, July 27th through the 29th. The smell of fresh rubber and food will fill the air for this weekend, along with the Porsche Carrera Cup for even more racing fun. An amazing, affordable weekend of family fun with camping, food, and more. Kids 16 and under get in free with paid adult. Come for the experience, stay for the race. Get your tickets today at roadamerica.com. Your national park of speed.
The summer heat is on, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
This Saturday night, be at the Fair Park in Plymouth when the Super 6 Late Model Series continues. Many of the best late model drivers in the upper Midwest will battle for an increased purse. Also racing will be the Wing Sprint cars, B-Mods, and Grand Nationals. Next Friday night, the second annual Road America Challenge, featuring the IRA Sprint cars and the Plymouth Dirt Track Racing MSA Sprints. Packing will begin at 6 o'clock, pits open at 2, and gates to the public at 4:30. That's this Friday night at the Fair Park in Plymouth. We'll see you there.
This week on NASCAR Live, Justin Allgaier joined the show.
You know, it just seems like this race always comes down to, a little bit of chaos at somewhere in the middle of the race. There's usually going to probably be some cautions, and you can always guarantee that there's going to be some cautions at the end, and there's probably going to be a stack up off a turn 2 on a green white checker. Why that is, I don't know, but it just seems like that's always the case.
There's much more waiting for you each week on NASCAR Live.
Every Tuesday night at 6 on Milwaukee's Home for NASCAR, the Big 920, and your iHeartRadio app.
LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
A huge week of dirt track racing across the country. A lot of money up for grabs. We will start Monday in Dubuque, Iowa, the XR Super Series Key City Classic for Super Dirt Late Models. $20,000 to win, and Bobby Pierce picked up the prize there. Tuesday night, Beaver Dam. The IMCA Modified Feature winner was Don Scheffler, and the stock cars went to Kenny Richards. Up at Eagle River in the Limited Lates, it was Austin Zadroik. The stock cars was David Blackbird. Davenport, Iowa for the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, $10,000 to win. That went to Jonathan Davenport. Attica, Ohio, the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series, the Brad Doty Classic. Kyle Larson made it 2 years in a row winning that one. Wednesday night in Rossburg, Ohio, the Eldora Speedway, the Eldora Million for the 410 Sprint Cars. Wing Sprint Cars, they had twin $12,000 to win preliminary features. Brad Sweet and Rico Abreu won those two. Thursday night, Fergus Falls, Minnesota, the I-94 Speedway for the IRA Sprint Cars. Mark Dobmeyer was your winner. Quincy, Michigan, the Butler Motor Speedway for the UMP Summer Nationals, $5,000 to win. That went to Ryan Unsicker. And also Thursday night, Rossburg, Ohio, Eldora Speedway, the Eldora Million for the Wings 410 Sprint Cars. $1,002,023 to win, 50 laps, and Logan Schuhart led all 50 and picked up the win. That Shark Racing team, if anybody knows the history of sprint car racing, that team about 6 years ago was about ready to fold. Bobby Allen, a longtime sprint car guy, his son Jacob Allen and his grandson Logan Schuhart are the two guys that drive it. I mean, they were eating bologna sandwiches and driving around with open trailers. They had no money at all. And to see them slowly work their way up, Dan, we watched them win early on line once. Logan Schuhart's first ever win, I believe, was up at Cedar Lake. It is a rags to riches to see them go this far and win that race.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, there were stories where they would sleep in the trailer at races, and what they would do was get one motel room just so they could all use a shower. You know, you have to rotate in and use a shower. Maybe one guy got to sleep in a room, everybody else had to sleep underneath the cars in the trailer. So, I mean, that's how they did it.
Yeah, and there's a little Wisconsin connection there. Every time they come to the state of Wisconsin, they stay over at the McGraths. Joel McGrath, Mitch McGrath's dad, the races dirt late models around here in Milwaukee, they always stay over there. And I was talking to him last night, and he chuckled and said, yeah, rent just went up now when they show up. So it's kind of funny. Continuing on, Friday night at Chilton Gravity Park Speedway in the Modifieds, Jesse Cullen was your winner. The Grand Nationals went to Jeff Richards, and the stock cars was Aiden Gretz. Seymour, the Outagamie County Speedway, it rained up there. They got one feature in. Jared Seifert won the IMCA stock car feature. All the other ones were rained out. Menominee, Red Cedar Raceway, the Wissota Late Models went to Danielle Bargender, and the Modifieds, Kevin Buzzy Adams. Up at Superior, the Gondik Law Speedway, the Wissota Late Models, Kevin Burdick, and the Wissota Modifieds, Jolie Belfoulier. Fountain City, Wisconsin, the Mississippi Thunder Speedway, the USRA Mods, Josh Angst. Limited Lates went to Ryan Olson. Kankakee, Illinois, the Mid-American Stock Car Series, normally running on pavement, was on the dirt. Rick Tackman picked up the win there. And the Modifieds went to Mike McKinney. Grand Forks, North Dakota, the River City Race Speedway for the IRA 410 Sprints. Mark Dobmeyer made it 2 in a row winning there. Junction City, Kentucky, the Ponderosa Speedway for the World of Outlaw Case Construction Late Model Series, $15,000 to win. Mike Marlar started 22nd and went through the field with the help of only 2 cautions to pick up the win. It was a heck of a run for him. If you get a chance to check out that video, that was pretty impressive racing right there. Eldora continued on. They had the night before the Kings Royal on Friday night for the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, $20,000 to win. Carson Macedo won that. Last night at Plymouth in the Super 6 late models, Mitch McGrath picked up the win. I was there last night. A heck of a race. There was Taylor Scheffler had that race won. He had like a straightaway lead on the field. The caution came up with about 7 to go, and on the restart, it was a family feud between Scheffler and Mitch McGrath. They both exchanged slide jobs, didn't touch at all. It was a heck of a race with Mitch picking up the win. In the 360s, Kevin Karnatz was your winner. Josh Balicki made his debut, and he finished 9th. For a rookie, they had 27 cars there, never raced a sprint car before, had a couple hot laps up at Eagle River on Wednesday night. To finish 9th and to avoid all the carnage, nice. There was a lot of it last night, was very impressive with him, and he had a big smile on his face afterwards, so that was cool to see.
Where did he start, Brian?
He started dead last, 22nd.
And ended up 9th in his first race?
Yes. I mean, there were a lot of wrecks, but the fact he didn't get involved in any of them, and he was mixing. He was in the middle. It wasn't like he was lagging back. He was right in the middle of it. So he'll be back in that sprint car again on Friday night, July 28th, as part of the Road America Challenge. So if you want to see him out there in that car, it's pretty cool to see. Sure. Grand National feature winner last night was Will Source. Up at Francis Crick, the 141 Speedway, the Modifieds went to Randy Markworth Jr., his first win of the year. Stock cars went to Brandon Sharapata, and the Grand Nationals with Easton Beatty. Shawano last night in the late models, Lucas Postel picked up his second win of the year. Modifieds went to Marcus Yari, and the stock cars was Trent Nolan. Down at Wilmot, the RA Wingless Sprints, Ryan Marshall was your winner, and the Modifieds was Steve Miller. Cedar Lake Speedway in New Richmond, the USRA Limited Lates were the headliner. Charlie Olson was your winner. Ashland in the ABC Raceway for the Wissota Modifieds, Cole Spacek. Tomahawk, the USRA Limiteds, went to Jared Curtin. Sycamore, Illinois, the Mid-American Stock Car Series, night number 2 on dirt for them, went to Clay Kurtz. Grand Forks, North Dakota, night number 2 for the IRA Sprints out there. Austin Pierce was your winner. Oakshade Speedway in Wauseon, Ohio for the UMP Summer Nationals 10,000 win. Ashton Winger all but wrapped up his Summer Nationals championship. Wheatland, Missouri for the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, the Diamond Nationals $15,000 win went to Jonathan Davenport. And finally, Rossburg, Ohio, the 40th Kings Royal, only $175,000 on the line for that race. It's kind of a buzzkill after $1 million the night before. But Donnie Schatz led all 40 laps and became, I think that was his 6th King Royal championship last night, winning the $175,000. So that is all the money handed out for the week on the dirt.
Big dirt week for sure. Thanks to Paul Reichert giving you some results from around the more prolific asphalt tracks. Starting last week, Slinger Speedway last Sunday. It was the prelude to the Nationals. The Midwest Truck Series were the headliner, and Jeff Holtz was the winner of that one. Did a great job. The 602 Outlaw Late Models ran in a beautiful number 14 car. Adam Peshek won in that Al Schill tribute car. I don't even know how many people realized that after Adam set fast time, Al Schill actually drove the car around for the national anthem. That's pretty cool. Tuesday night, it was the 44th annual Slinger Nationals, and Ty Majeski took advantage of a late race caution when Levon Vandergeest blew a tire. It had been the Luke show up till that point. Luke Fenhouse had taken over. Where was it, Dan Roden? Lap 93 or around there somewhere, and led over 100 laps. And here we go, just like it was written in the NASCAR book, a late race caution. They get together, and Ty Majeski wins his 3rd Nationals in the last 6 years for his $20,000 payday. By only leading 4 laps, Ty Majeski only had $440 in lap money. Austin Nason, who had led a bunch of laps, he like lap 4 to 92 or thereabouts, won over $9,000 in lap money. And Luke Fenhouse, after taking over that lead in the 90s there somewhere, all the way to lap 196, over $11,000 in lap money alone. So, and big thanks to Dan Casey and his henchmen, Craig Zeller and Dave Ausluis, who really worked hard to put that together and did some arm twisting on some of those guys so they could get that over $20,000 in lap money. Theoretically, you could have won $40,000 last week if you had led every lap. We'll take a break and come back.
Inflation compensation is back.
Oh, yes.
Demand your supply of $1,000.
$1,000? Oh!
Just listen for the keywords to text in to win $1,000. Happening now
on thebig920.com.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs, all backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com.
It's the social event of the summer as the WeatherTech International Challenge with Brian Redmond returns to Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, July 13th through the 16th. It's the largest vintage racing event in America, featuring over 400 vintage and historic race cars. This event will highlight the Kastner Cup, featuring Triumph sports cars, and the popular Concours d'Elegance on Friday and Saturday along the streets of Elkhart Lake. Kids 16 and under get in free with paid adult. Camping and family fun at Road America all weekend. Visit roadamerica.com today.
This is The Herd.
Attention listeners.
With Colin Cowherd.
The Celtics are up to something. I would guess Giannis next year. So basically, GM Brad Stevens said, we're not special. I got news for you. Tatum as a 1, the Celtics are never going to be special. Tatum as a 2, Giannis as a 1, that's special.
This is The Herd. Weekdays 3 to 6 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
All right, we're in the middle of doing some paved track results. Also, Tuesday night at Slinger, Jesse Bernhagen won in the Pro Late Models, his 6th win of the year. Man, that's dominant. Thursday night at State Park Speedway up in Wausau, they had the UMA Super Late Models. Justin Mondyke was your winner. At Wisconsin International Raceway in Kaukauna, it was the white race of the red, white, and blue series. In the Super Late Models, they had twin feature wins. R.J. Braun won up there at Kaukauna. Pretty cool. Sawyer Efforts won the other one. And in the late models, second generation racer, Brandon Reichenberger was your winner. Also on Thursday night, it was the first SRX on ESPN. Did you remember it? Did you turn it on? Denny Hamlin comes over and wins. They were supposed to race at Thunder Road in Vermont this coming Thursday, but terrible flooding this week, and they're going to go back to Stafford once again and race there 2 weeks in a row. So kind of doing it on the fly, and Ryan Preece is going to race at his own home track next week at Stafford. It'll be fun to watch. Friday at Golden Sands Speedway, it was the UMA Super Lates. Kendrick Cryer won again. At Hawkeye Downs, Bryce Miller was the winner. At Madison, they got rained out on Friday night. Saturday night, they ran the UMA Super Late Model, or they were supposed to. That portion of the show got rained out, but they did run with the 602 Late Models, and they got it in. Pete Moore, is that the second in a row he's won up there? And he's no spring chicken, folks. This guy he's so old, he's older than I am. At Jefferson Speedway in the late model, Sean Scheel was your winner. At La Crosse in the NASCAR late models, Steve Buckman won it. ASA Stars National Tour, and it was the ASA reunion race right where I am here in Anderson, Indiana. It was the 57th running of the Redbud 400, and Cole Butcher did just a spectacular job to win that thing. Ty Majeski, who led 290-ish laps, ended up third. Austin Nason was here, finished 8th. Bubba was here and got knocked around like a cue ball, ended up 14th. And the ARCA Series ran at Iowa yesterday. How many of you watched that? William Sawalich dominated the race until a late race caution, and he got beat by Luke Fenhouse, the same kid that got beat by Ty Majeski in the Slinger Nationals the week before. So how about that? Pretty good stuff for Luke Fenhouse to win. And that's the second time he's done that on a late race. He must hate it when he sees those late race cautions. Gentlemen, I know you were both at the Slinger Nationals. What a crowd we had. There is, for one reason or another, promoters do not like telling you what the actual attendance was, okay? And I'm going to pull a number out of thin air here. I don't know the number, okay? This is not official. I can tell you there were more people at Slinger this Thursday than when Dale Earnhardt raced in 1987, and I was there for both events. I'm going to say it was a minimum of 12,000 people and maybe more. The police department shut down the front gate. There was SRO, and they decided they can't have that. It's just not a good situation. They told people, if you want to watch this race, you're going to have to buy a pit pass. And the line at the pit shack went all the way out to the road for people coming in and buying pit passes to watch it. A record-shattering event at Slinger Speedway. A perfect weather evening. And I tell you what, it was a pretty good show, too, with that late race caution. It was amazing that we didn't have more cautions in that race. The second half went from lap 100 all the way to lap 196 before we got another caution. If we had had a couple more cautions in there, it would have bunched the field up, and there was a very good chance somebody else's car would have come around after the tires cooled down and all that, and we may have had more leaders. But a dominant driver as Luke was doesn't necessarily equate to a win. And gentlemen, I think overall it was a pretty damn impressive show.
Yeah, I agree. First time I've ever seen cars on the ski hill. I mean, I turned around to look, and they're parking them. They're parking them 3/4 of the way up the ski hill. That was kind of cool.
And Dan, you worked your behind off running the cameras for that thing. What
That was
would you
great.
think?
One of the better events I've seen there, and it's cool seeing that many people come in. I mean, just so many people supporting that event, and what it's grown to. What Todd Thielen set out to make this thing back to prominence, and he's done it. I mean, July 9th, 2024 is the date for next year. We have that already, so make your plans. We had people coming from 25 states. I mean, think about that. People made it was their vacation plans to come to
Canada.
And Canada.
Yeah, pretty impressive all the way around. All right, we're racing tomorrow at New Hampshire. They got rained out today. It's going to be at 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm taking Joey Logano to win. Oh, I hate doing that. Dan, who are you looking at?
Martin Truex, 19.
19th, all right. Brian?
2 in a row for Christopher Bell there.
From the pole. And, you guys, how easy it is to take guys in the front row. 300 laps, blah, blah, blah. We'll see. Hey, thanks for tuning into the program. It's going to be a fun day. I'm leaving in about 2 minutes, and I'm heading for Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, so I can visit my great-grandson. Imagine that.
Safe travels.
Thanks, my friends. And thanks to everybody for tuning into the program. And like we want people to remember, real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. Let's Talk NASCAR is produced and directed by Dangerous Dan Margetta. Thanks to our engineer, Matt Losey, back in Waterford. For everybody that tuned in today, we appreciate it. And we'll see you next week, everybody.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.